Welcome to the Advance Your Art podcast, where we talk about the journey from artist to entrepreneur and everything in between. You've worked hard to hone your craft. Now take it to the next level with tips, techniques, strategies, and routines used by successful artists to grow their businesses and careers. Now, let's get started and have some fun with your host, Yuri Cataldo.
Well, hey, Sarah, welcome to the show. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent. I'm fantastic. It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you too.
Yeah. So podcast listeners, we'll get to this a little bit, but so Sarah and I have been friends for a while. We actually met in like a year ago in Santa Fe Opera in the early 2000s.
Did the ding come through or no?
No, I didn't hear the ding.
Okay, then never mind.
Good. Okay, cool.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So this is going to be fantastic because I actually need to catch up with Sarah. At the same time, I thought I would just record it because why not?
Why not?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's efficient.
It is more efficient that way. Okay, so Sarah, for the people who don't know you,
yeah.
How do you describe yourself and what you do now?
So I like to make stuff, and right now my goal is to find out what you need and make it for you. That's sort of my goal. I have been working with a couple of little startups recently and doing mostly graphic design and marketing and web design stuff for them. Mm-hmm. I can make websites and I have a lot of experience sort of managing creative teams and doing like building advertising creative. Most of my like career part has been in ad tech. Okay. So, advertising tech. So I've been, for the last year, I've just been, doing graphic design and kind of getting my hands dirty again, which has been really fun. It's actually been really invigorating and kind of, I forgot how much I missed like making stuff, and I get to have stories now like that are like, God, and I was trying to teach these guys how to use Google Docs and they kept sending me the thing back being like, can you send me the most up-to-date version? I would be like, it's Google Docs. It's always like literally that's the purpose of us using this technology is so that I make a change and then you just see it.
Yeah.
So,
live.
And I'll just send them the link again and be like, here you go, buddy. That'll be another $75. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Sounds pretty
I'm
sweet.
like, hey, you wanted, it's your money, man.
Yeah.
I'll send you that link again. So I'm having fun.
That's great. Having fun making things. That's awesome.
Making stuff. So, yeah.
So not much has changed since we last met.
Yeah.
So let's backtrack a bit.
But...
Yes. So let's backtrack. So why did you originally decide to study theater?
So I've always loved theater. I was a total theater nerd starting in middle school. I always actually really loved backstage. So I never did any stuff on stage until, I started doing improv when I moved to Baltimore, after I'd been here for like 5-6 years. But, but other than that, I hadn't ever been on stage or had any real interest in being on stage. I really just like making stuff. So I started out doing props and when I was in college, I spent most of my time, like literally, so I went to the University of Virginia, which is, world renowned for its theater program. Just kidding. And cause my dad went there, my grandpa went there, my great grandpa, like I was legacy.
Yeah.
Going there or else. And so thank God I worked it out and got there. And so I did my second year of college. I like started going nuts. I did basically from my sophomore or at UVA we're that kind of asshole. So we call it second year, third year, fourth.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's
because
the
no student
Juilliard
is
method.
senior to another. You know what I mean? So I've taken that to heart.
Okay.
Like you do. And so but anyway, so when I was my second year, I actually I wanted to learn how to do like TV production, and they didn't have any programs there or any stuff there for it. So I started a TV station. I like raised a bunch of money from a bunch of groups and then bought some cameras and then got some time on the local like cable access channel and started a TV station. And in the meantime, I did props for every single show that happened on campus, student groups and like the actual theater department.
Wow.
And I did, so I was like, when I do it, I go big.
Yeah, you do. Wait, what was your TV station called?
It was called Who TV, WHOO.
Who TV. Where did that name come from?
Well, because the Wahoos are the UVA's like sort of unofficial mascot is the Wahoo. And so it was WHOO.
Okay.
Who TV.
What did you cover on your TV show?
It was pretty fun. We actually had, by the time I left school, we had 8 different shows, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Most of them were we had 2 shows that were weekly, and then we had the rest of them were all monthly, or more than that. But we had a news show, where, we covered hard hitting things like, why are they making us take posters down? Very
Inquiring minds want to know.
Everyone wants to know why I had to take that flyer down in the hallway. But it's been funny. A couple of the people that worked on Who TV in the early days are actually like on the news now. Like there's this guy who was one of our newscasters. I put that in quotes. It wasn't. We were doing news show. So technically he was casting news on the television. But now he's actually, I think he's in Philadelphia now, and he's working on a news station there. So I don't know, it's kind of neat. In the meantime, I was doing the theater stuff, doing the theater thing all the time. And then when I graduated, actually, I had switched kind of to doing I was still doing all props for like everything that existed, but then I also started doing costumes and doing costume design. And then there was this weird moment where, so UVA also has a clearly world-renowned graduate theater program.
Okay.
And so they had this weird situation happen where one of the grad students from the costume department was going to get kicked out. And I had actually been taking all the grad classes along with the students that had come in. And so there was this potential that I could basically like go right from graduating to being in grad school in the theater program and do costumes. And so I ended up sticking around for an extra year in Charlottesville basically just working in the theater department for money at that point, and then trying to see if they would let me do that. And then it didn't work out, and I was like, forget it, I'm leaving. I was like, see ya.
Yeah.
So I at that point I had worked, I had applied for this internship at Center Stage in Baltimore, and to work in the costume shop. And and through a series of random coincidences, I ended up going to Glimmerglass Opera that summer. And so a bunch of people from Center Stage do Glimmerglass in the summer and then come back, or did at that point.
Okay.
There's a big exchange between the two places. And so I worked there, and then I came here and did this internship at Center Stage and and worked in the costume shop. And then the next summer I went to Santa Fe, and that's where I met you. So that would have been, what was that, like 2005? 4?
Yes, I think so. So was it? Yeah, 2004, because I went my first year. What was I doing at that time? Do you remember? Sounds bad.
You were assistant designing.
Okay, so that'd be 2005 then.
Okay, 2005, yeah.
Yeah.
What show? It doesn't matter. What show did you do?
So there we go. So I was working with Paul on Lucio Silla, which was a bizarre opera, but beautifully designed. Yeah. As all things that Paul used to design were. Yeah. Okay. So you were at Santa Fe. You were working.
I was in costume crafts.
Crafts. That's right.
Yeah.
You didn't do hats. You made like swords and scabbards and.
Yeah, I made swords and that, but we did do some of the hats. Was that the summer that they had the weird Tempest? No.
Oh no, that was because that was also was Paul Brown. That was the next year.
Yeah, because I made the weird like the grass hat.
Yes.
Big like crazy grass hats, and then the Anyway, yeah, I made all sorts of fun stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. So why did you choose to go to Santa Fe Opera that year?
It was pretty much, I would say, because I'd met this woman in working at Center Stage, and she had worked there, and I was like, and she was like, yeah, you should come, it's so fun. And then I did, and she was right. It was awesome. It was a good time.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm still in touch with a lot of people. So after that first summer, when I went back to Baltimore, I brought a bunch of people with me. So like Alex and I had both worked there. And I just got a note from my producer. Just kidding. She just said, I'm going to bed. Can you be a little more quiet? I'm like, story of my life.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had been, so I brought back like a bunch of people from the lighting department. I basically stole them and brought them back to Baltimore. And then we worked at Center State. I ended up working there after my internship. I worked for another couple years there. And really that was, at that point in my life, I figured I would be here in Baltimore for like a year, maybe two. And then I would move to New York and like, do the dream or whatever. you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, yeah.
And then I, had done the summer stock thing for a couple of years, and I had done and then I watched that there was this really kind of pivotal moment in that situation where I was like, oh, I gotta think of another plan, because I watched, and I'm not going to say the name because I'll tell you. I could tell you. You could edit it out, or I could not tell you. But there's a designer who had just won her second Tony, and she came down. We had a lot of designers from New York just because it's such an easy trip.
Yeah.
And I watched her in the hallway, like call her mom and ask her mom for money to help pay her rent. And I was so bummed. I was like, holy shit. I was like, that's the pinnacle of this career. Like I could work my whole life.
Yeah.
And then I could be like, designing stuff for, fancy people and Broadway and everything, and win awards and everything, and then still have to call my mom and ask my mom for money. I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that. So I was like, okay, I got to figure out what else to do. So I had always made, I always kind of been interested in the internet, and I had made websites when I was like I had Prodigy when I was in middle school and high school, and like, do you remember GeoCities?
Yes.
Yeah. So I used to, like, my friends and I in high school would make like those GeoCities pages with like all the GIFs.
Oh,
Be like hamster dance and like peanut butter jelly time and like MIDI music and really terrible stuff. Yeah. So I used to make these just awful websites with my friends. And then I sort of just kept doing it in the background all through college, which, maybe I should have started, like, maybe take a computer science class. I don't know. You couldn't have forced me to do it though when I was in college. I was like, theater all the time. It's my life.
Exactly. I was the same way, so I have no room to talk on that one. Yeah.
But,
it was all about the art.
It's all about the art, and I don't need money.
That's right. It'll just work itself out in the future. That's kind of what I assumed.
The future will just be fine.
It will.
Oh, young Sarah, what I'd give. But yeah, so then I was like, okay. So I while I was working at Center Stage, I ended up doing a graduate program at University of Baltimore, which was called Communications Design, or Publications Design. It's great. I did the whole program, and I don't remember what it's called.
You remember your degree, okay.
It was basically graphic design and web design. Okay. And I sort of focused really heavily in the web design part of it because, the internet is going to be pretty big. Yeah. So